buying or renting a property, what sort of discounts should you expect? We're exploring the life of Terry the Tight Ass.
Terry the Tight Ass.
He exists. He exists. And it's interesting off air, the conversation you and I, Billy, that we had. Is it a good life? If you walk around life paying full freight for everything, do you have a better life? If you walk around expecting a slight discount everywhere you go, is that smart? Do you grind everyone for every last cent everywhere you go? What is the balance?
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's not just Terry, unfortunately. There's a lot of people out there. Mark, I've got a bit of a second name at home for being called the Stooge. The Stooge. Scrooge. It's interesting because, I don't want to think I'm a penny pincher in every way, but, some people call it smart to try and get a bit of a saving. Others go, the full way and just pay everything up front.
They never negotiate on anything. They never go, and we're going to bring this into property in a second. When it comes to renting a property, when it comes to buying a property. But yeah, it makes you wonder, Billy, I think, what would you regard yourself as in terms of tightness?
I'd say 5 out of 10.
So tight ass 5 out of 10?
Where there's money to be saved, I take advantage of it, but don't miss out on experiences for it. I think that's the important thing. Yep. Yeah.
And with me, in terms of it, if it's something that I know I'm going to use all the time, that it's going to be, it's imperative. It's sometimes a money maker. Yeah. It may be a memory that I'm going to use, like a great holiday that I'm going to recall back on all the time. I think sometimes you've got to pay retail. I don't mind paying for quality, but in terms of out of 10, I reckon I'm about a 7. It's not good. I don't like paying retail for stuff. I will always ask for a discount, almost expect a discount. But I think you want to make people feel good about asking about the discount. Sometimes a tight ass can actually make a mess everywhere they go, and it's not a nice feeling. Someone walking in and expecting, and there's awkwardness there. And I think some cultures are very good at asking for it or expecting it. Some are not. But yeah, it's an interesting topic, dude. Interesting. I love to know what people out there think.
Yeah, we've already got a few comments coming in. Love the hustle.
Yep.
And an abundance mindset. It is a bit of a mindset. And I think it goes through life with you. You start with just the small things, and then ultimately you look at property the same way. And that's reflective, in putting an offer in. And as an agent, you get to get a feel for someone as soon as you meet them. And I don't know about you, Mark, if someone seems pretty keen on the property and then they give you a silly offer, does it almost work against them from the start?
Well, how low can you go? I think sometimes as a seller, you can almost feel like you're slapped in the face and you can almost step back from the transaction. As a seller, if a good offer comes in, you can almost step forward on the transaction, be more inclined to negotiate more often because you're interested in the transaction. So it's an interesting. I do have to say, and this is advice I would give to people buying the property. understand your mark, understand whatever you're trying to buy. You've got to wrap your head around it, legs around it, arms around it. You've got to understand what you're buying. It's not just bricks and mortar. There's a seller involved. Where are they going? There's an agent involved, building rapport. There's what's sold in the area. Is it good value or bad value? It's not necessarily take 10% off and that's where we're going to start. It could already be 10% under market, and you paying the price for it could be the bargain of the century.
Yeah, we spoke off air. There's a lot of different factors that contribute to putting an offer forward, and ultimately whether it's a good deal or not. Luke's mentioned a really good point here. Get creative with offers. Your terms are important. You know, when you're at the shop and you see your favorite ice cream on sale, you don't go and ask for an extra 10% off when it's already reduced by 50. You just buy it, put it in the trolley, and move on. I think that's the point we're at with property. You know, the market's come off a bit. If you like what you see, just don't mess around.
You can regret it. You can regret it. And you know what I think is really important for Terry the Tight Ass? I think on our Tight Ass Tuesday, I think you can also have fun. And I think people forget in a negotiation, building loyalty and building, making it a great experience, I think is so important in a negotiation. And it will make you money. It will allow you to buy something easier or for lower if the person that you're negotiating with is enjoying the experience, if they like you, if they believe in you, and I think if you can have a little chuckle along the way, I think that's important as a seller when choosing an agent, with a landlord when choosing an agent. I think it's we can't. You don't want to achieve what you want to achieve by putting your fingers on a chalkboard and running it down the chalkboard the whole negotiation. That's just not. It just doesn't lead. It's just going to make you jack up on the deal. Yeah.
But do you see the tight asses come out in form in a market where it's a buyer's market or a seller's market more, Mark? You know, when there's abundance of buyers out there, do you see the offers getting thrown around more just because there's more people out there? Or do you think when the market's cooled off down a bit, then they think, let me take advantage of it?
Honestly, I reckon they come out in both markets. I reckon Terry the Tight Ass is always shopping in a booming market and a bust market. You're just always there. Circumstances change, makes you a buyer. Off you go.
Yeah, interesting. But understanding the motivations of all parties, another good comment there.
Huge.
Terry the Tight Ass he's always shopping around.
It's always. Now with rentals, what do you expect to get off on a rental?
It's interesting. When COVID-2 came around, any freestanding house, it was almost market expectation, and the people looking for property knew it better than the agents. You know, you'd put a price up online and then offers would come in 10% more. That was not an expectation from the agent, but more the people, voting with their money, as we like to say.
And that's incredible because that's in a market where it's COVID. You're thinking, man, I'm going to get the bargain of the century. And then you're paying 10% more than anyone else out there. It's very counterintuitive. So again, I think it goes back to understanding your environment. In any negotiation, it's not like a lot of products have a fixed price and a fixed environment where it doesn't leave a lot of room for negotiation. I think car sales has been an example of that. You used to go and buy a car, and there was so many variations to the deal. Is the dealership getting mass discounts for moving the vehicle in that particular month? What day of the month it is? The type of salesperson dealing with things that are on the car. When car sales came along, it actually made it completely transparent across all of those things. So you could simply see across Australia, like for like, every single car and every single price. It made it a much more even playing field. And I think discounting due to carsales.com.au, I think discounting was not eliminated, but was reduced quite a lot. Can that happen with property?
Yeah, but people, do you agree people don't get the idea of a listing price? That's not ultimately what the selling price is. I think that's two very different things. And as an agent, maybe that's thought as common sense. But do you think that's not so apparent?
Look, I think selling prices are not advertised any longer. In the 80s and 90s, very common. You'd have a price, you pay it, we're done. I paid your price. Why haven't you not accepted it? This day and age, that's blowing up. Now it's a guide, and the sky's the limit. So the industry, vendors and sellers have chosen. Sellers have chosen not to do that anymore. So I think that's pretty cool. You got two people. Let the party begin.
But is life not a lot simpler when there's a price online and you just pay it?
It is.
It's different. What do you prefer? Because you've operated in both markets.
Auction's probably another one for Terry the Tight Ass to consider. I think that an auction process is completely different because half the time you don't even have a guide there that's formally advertised. I love having a price. If I see buy it now on eBay, I love it. The interesting thing, will I buy it? I'll still shop for something less. Get this. This is interesting. When I'm on eBay, and I think a lot of people, I'd love to know if people have this impulse. When I'm on eBay, I will see something for a buy it now price. I'll say to myself, I'm in, but I'm just going to check if I can buy it for cheaper. I check if I can buy it for cheaper, and when I do, and it's an auction item that's there, I'll say, no, I revert back to the buy it now and buy it now because I can have it straight away. That's convenience. Convenience comes into buying of a property as well. So with that buy now, will I sit on my hands for a week and see if I can buy that product, or will I just buy it, get it delivered the next day? I think that's really interesting with property. That's what I prefer, convenience and a buy it now price. Yeah,
it's nice to know that price is what you'll pay and it will just be the way you want it to be. That's definitely appealing. Do you get asked as an agent much, Mark? What's the buy it now price? What's going to take it off the market?
It's a great question for a buyer or a tenant to ask. I always get asked. It's almost a little bit of a dance that happens between buyer and agent, or tenant and agent. We always refer to vendors' expectations. We always refer to market comparisons or market sales to let the buyer form that decision before we bring the deal together. So you don't want to box yourself in sometimes. The buyer may just walk, so you want to get it out of the buyer's mouth or the tenant's mouth first and then start massaging the deal together.
Yeah. Ultimately, is Terry the Tight Ass happier? That's what we want.
I think this is look, everyone's different. Everyone's different. In my perfect world, for me, I think everything's negotiable. I think you must ask the question. I think you've got to have fun asking the question. Don't do your head in. And I think if you add up the discount that you can achieve on everything through your life simply by asking the question, that's an enormous number. So I think Terry the tight ass is all right. And again, there's certain things that you just can't negotiate. You just don't want to negotiate on and buy something cheaper because you get stuck on negotiating. What do you think?
I think the feeling of getting a discount feels amazing. I love seeing the little yellow stickers at Coles saying reduced 20%. That's like a small win. But yeah, I totally agree. You can't miss out on some experiences. Don't cut in the wrong places, but make it up elsewhere. That's my takeaway.
And that's our Tight Ass Tuesday.
Thanks for joining us. I'm going to leave the rollout. Tight Ass Tuesday.
Thanks.